What's going on, guys? Dan from SSG bringing you another Edison format deck profile. This time I'm profiling my light beatdown deck. It's a pretty awesome deck that I've been working on for a little while, and I think it's pretty sweet. So we have the full 3 copies of Chaos Endmaster. This card is unbelievable. I think it's a really underplayed card in the format, as those of you who don't know, whenever it destroys a monster by battle, it can go and summon out a level 5 monster with 1600 attack or less from your deck, and it's a tuner, level 3, so you can easily make a level 8 synchro monster. I think this card, there's a lot of ways to build around this card, and this was sort of my first take on the deck. And the monster that we normally going to grab out in any of our builds with this card is 2 copies of Oracle of the Sun. So this card's pretty sweet. You just attack over the monster, and then you bring this out from the deck, and you synchro for an 8. Both of them being light monsters, but this is actually a cyber dragon, so you can drop this down when your opponent has a monster and you don't special summon it, which is really good because if they have a bigger monster that you can't really run over with the Chaos Endmaster and you end up drawing this card, it's actually not a completely dead card to draw, so you can special summon this out, normal summon your master, make a 2-card level 8 synchro monster, which is totally fine, and I think it's really helpful to have Oracle Sun because it can just unbrick those hands. There's a few other cards you can summon off of the Chaos Endmaster that kind of are bricks, and Oracle of the Sun is probably just the best choice for the most part here. We move on to 2 copies of Honest, and Honest is just incredible with Chaos Endmaster. I mean, think about if you have a Flamevell Fire Dog, but you also have an Honest in your deck for that Flamevell Fire Dog. It's just unbelievable, right? You just easily attack over any monster, of course, with the Honest and damage step, and you're going to be able to get a level 8 synchro monster, and that's very, very powerful. Honest helps solve a lot of problems for you, and it's just very powerful, and we are a completely light deck, so we're going to be able to use Honest with any of our monsters here. 2 copies of Cyber Dragon in the main deck. I like this card a lot. It combos with your Chaos Endmasters for a level 8 synchro as well, just making it so that those Chaos Endmasters are never really dead, but also just Cyber Dragon, Honest, just good cards in your deck anyway, right? You can beat down with Cyber Dragon, you have Honest protecting it. Very powerful card. If you happen to be playing against a machine deck, they're not going to be very happy that Cyber Dragon is in your main board, as I think it's just one of the better cards going second in Edison format in general, and then having the machine anti-machine type synergy with the Chimeritic Fortress is very powerful as well in the main board. So we have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. On to 2 copies of Thunderking. I'm kind of between 2 and 3 on this card in the main board because I think it's not that great going second. However, Thunderking has proved to be extremely powerful going first in this format, as it just beats down, it denies dragons of their Whitestone searches, it does a lot, it prevents Black Whirlwind, it attacks over most of the Blackwing monsters as long as they don't have a Clute. Thunderking is just a pretty powerful card, and it really can help stop special summons, like stuff like the Drow Warriors. Preventing those from coming out is very good. Just really strong card, and I kind of like putting these 4 cards together in a sense because they're both powerful cards going first and going second respectively. So I think that having the 2 and 2 mix is kind of where I'm at right now. I think you could cut a Cyber Dragon for a 3rd Thunder King, as it's just, I think, like an overall better card for what this game, this deck is really trying to do. However, I think the balance here is fine, and I think it's just really good. A Thunder King just kind of gets the job done on turn 1, but very strong there. Now, we have a lightsworn package, 3 copies of Ryko. This is going to be one of your main ways to remove creatures. Card's just very strong, of course. Everyone knows Ryko is a borderline staple in the format. And then I also have 2 copies of Jain here, and Jain is incredible, guys. I mean, start putting more of these Jains in your lightsworn decks, as the card's just really good going second. It just establishes and gets rid of those big monsters like Shura, like Thunderking, just comes in, attacks for 2100, and just stays in play. And having this like light beatdown type deck, you just want access to Jain here, as it's very, very powerful. And hey, milling is not bad in this deck either, as you will see. And very, very strong little small package. It's concise, it's powerful. I think they're all very good cards, and Jain is incredible. Please build more decks with Jain in them. We then have a payoff in one of the inspirations for this deck, 2 copies of Freed, the Wanderer, not the Master's General, the Brave Wanderer. Freed is just incredible. I think this card is wildly underplayed. Card's very, very powerful here, as it just easily can get 2 light monsters in the graveyard, remove them both, and pop their monster. And just really, really powerful. Just gets rid of big things. And whether you have a easy access to 2 light monsters via the Chaos Endmaster and the Oracle of the Sun, just banishing those two once you already made a level 8 synchro, or you're going to have the Jains and the Rykos milling lights into your graveyard very easily. Freed is going to be a very, very powerful card, and I think it's just really underrated. The card's just incredible for me in a lot of my decks that I build, so 2 Freeds there. On to the spells rather. We have 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. Just we want to be extremely consistent. We want to find those Chaos Endmasters. We want to destroy their monsters, bring out those level 8 synchros, and 3 Upstart Goblins just helps us get the job done. Very consistent there. 3 copies of Book of Moon. Really powerful with Chaos Endmaster, booking powerful monsters face down, attacking over them with that 1500 attack stat line is pretty easy with Book of Moon, so being able to be an interactive card as well as a card that can help enable your game plan is excellent, and it's what we want. So 3 copies of Book of Moon for that reason. And then we have a little bit of power here, a little bit of draw power in the sense of 2 solar recharges. 2 recharges is really strong in combination with the 3 Upstart Goblins we play. It gives the deck a little bit of more of a velocity in the early game, just getting your deck going, getting the consistency going, finding those power cards that you really want to have access to, and just having that little boost in the early game just helps kind of alleviate any of the inconsistencies these type of control decks can tend to have. So I like the 2 copies of Solar Recharge. Just gets lights in the graveyard for your Freeds, finds what you're looking for. Very powerful here as you have 5 targets for it, and you technically have 6 as you're playing the 1 copy of Charge of Light Brigade, of course. Very, very powerful, and you're just going to find your Ryko or find your Jain whenever you need them, and very good there. Similar card here, we have the 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army, helps you find your Jain so you can make your Solar Recharge alive, or Jain just to break your opponent's board. But another powerful thing is it searches Chaos Endmaster. It happens to be a warrior, so we're going to try and have a 4th copy of that card in our deck, as that is our main game plan to win. But also it searches Freed, which is incredible. You're searching your Enabler for your combo, which is the Chaos Endmaster. You're searching an endgame power card in Freed. You're also searching Jain to run over monsters and mill cards into your graveyard. So I think it's a pretty powerful effect, just really, really toolboxy in this deck, and that's exactly why you want Rhoda, as that's exactly what you want your reinforcements to be doing, is grabbing you a bunch of different effects. We then have 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. This is mainly for the end game. You know, you don't really need Avarice to put your, like, Chaos Endmasters back. That's not really, like, the thing that you're, like, really looking to do. It's not very consistent in the early game. So we just have 1 Avarice for the late game. It's just essentially a Pot of Greed if we draw it late in the game. So we're just going to run it there. I think it's good. You can get a lot of monsters in your grave by milling them as well. So the 1 Pot of Avarice. And we have 1 Heavy Storm. Just get rid of those back rows. Get that Chaos Endmaster attacking over the monster. Just enabling a Stardust Dragon, something powerful out of your extra deck, and then set a bunch of back rows behind it. The 1 Heavy Storm just kind of helps us get our Chaos Endmaster off. On to traps. We are a control deck. We have 2 copies of the Bottomless Trap Hole. Just removing those creatures, we got to play 2 Bottomless. It's very, very stable in my opinion. Then we are on to 2 copies of Dimensional Prison. Only 2. I was testing 3 for a lot of times, but a lot of times you just want their monsters in play, whether to Book of Moon them, attack over them, sometimes they're attacking and you want to honest their monster, so 2 Deep Prison is totally fine, not 3 this time. 2 copies of Royal Oppression. Oppression is really strong, right? You're going to easily set up boards where you want Oppression, whether it be Special Summon Cyber Dragon, attack over their monster, set Oppression, and you're good to go. You can have Oppression face up, and then say they somehow trap stun it or like get a monster in play that's big. You can still get out of your own Oppression by normal summoning Freed, banishing, popping their big monster, and now you have a Freed plus a Royal Oppression in play. A lot of ways to enable this card. Of course, you're going to have Chaos Endmaster making those powerful level 8 Synchro monsters, then flipping up Oppression. Card's just really good, and you're a control deck that doesn't special summon too much, so I do like both 2 copies of Royal Oppression here. More removal, we have Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute. Of course, just staple removal cards. We have 1 Solemn Judgement to help us push our Chaos Endmasters through, as well as just protecting those back rows. And of course, would not be an SSG profile without the 1 copy of Trap Dustshoot. We're going to open this turn 1 every time. Okay, guys? Open it turn 1 every time, and you will win games. That's the goal here. 1 copy of Trap Dustshoot, all jokes aside. Onto the extra deck here. We have kind of a lot of room in our extra deck. We kind of have like a lot of slots to play around, so I try to make the most toolbox extra deck that I could. We have the 2 level 5s, Catastor and Android, of course. We don't really make these often, just with Ryko and our 3-star tuner. We then have a bunch of 7s. We have the Black Rose Dragon. We have Ancient Fairy Dragon. Solid staples there. I like the one copy of x-saber urbellum. This card's kind of just been really strong for me in a lot of the decks that have access to it, so I've just been putting it in. It's just very good in combination with removal and very strong there. I have the one copy of Ancient Sacred Wyvern. We can play this card. We can sometimes kill our opponent out of nowhere with it, so let's just play it. It's a powerful card. We then move on to the 8s, of course. We have 2 copies of Stardust Dragon. 2 is good, right? We are going to have access to summoning this card pretty frequently with our Chaos End Masters. And we also play a Starlight Road in the sideboard, so we got to run the 2 Stardust here. And then we have a toolbox of 8s as well. We have the Thought Ruler Archefiend, Red Dragon Archefiend, of course. We have to have 1 Colossal Fighter. Colossal Fighter is really powerful. I like Avenging Knight Parshath. Very, very powerful card. Gives us kind of a utility card. We can easily make this, so why not play it, as it can help us get out of weird situations that we find ourselves in. We have the 1 copy of Mistwurm, because you can kind of make this. So we will play Mistwurm. And then we have 2 copies of Chimera Tech, because we have the room for it. Like I said, we're kind of getting down to playing a Mistwurm in a deck that can barely make it, so we're going to be able to have enough room for both of those Chimera Techs in the side. Into the extra. Onto the side now. And in the sideboard, we have 3 copies of DD Crow. No SSG staple of 3 DD Crow, 2 Cyber Dragon, because we're maining the Cyber Dragons this time. So, very powerful card. We want to have access to the DD Crow. And then we have 2 copies of the powerful Kaiku, as it just sort of is very good at stopping Vayu. And Vayu's are really kind of a hard deck to beat, right? Because we're trying to attack over like smaller monsters with our Chaos Endmaster, and they're just presenting really powerful cards every single turn. Even like just armed wings just coming down every turn, just being really powerful. We can't really deal with monsters over and over again like that. So the 1 Kaiku kind of just the two Kaikus kind of just can take care of that really easily. We have 1 Thunder King. We just want the 3rd Thunder King in the sideboard. We want to have access to it for most decks going first, but also just a lot of decks just it completely shuts it off, like things like gadgets. So 1 Thunder King there. Then we have spells, 2 Smashing Grounds. This is mainly for Absolute Zero, cards that we just can't beat, right? Because even if we try to Honest over an Absolute Zero, it's just going to take our whole board against it, so it's just kind of a minus play. Just being able to Smashing Ground those pesky cards away that we can't even Honest over, really powerful, and it's just a good card. We're going to have 2 Smashing Grounds on the side here. We have 1 MST, and we have the 1 copy of Shrink. I've been liking Shrink a lot in Gladiator Beast decks. I think it's really interesting and powerful. I think it's basically an Honest from the hand, right? It just says, hey, win this battle. As long as it's on your turn, you can play it from your hand. Really powerful in the damage step. And card's just really good. I think it helps us attack over monsters with Chaos Endmaster, so we're going to run the 1 Shrink. I think you could end up playing 2, even up to 2 copies in the main of this card in this type of deck. But yeah, really powerful. I like the 1 Shrink. It's been going well, especially going second. Put this card in going second. It just helps you break boards and kind of just get that level 8 synchro into play. 2 Dust Tornadoes, really strong here, just powerful removal. Want to get rid of those back rows. 2 Pulling the Rugs. I love this card in control decks because you can't really afford to lose cards to Caius, right? You just get that big monster out of play and negate the banish ability. And 1 copy of Starlight Road, just against, of course, Geysiris, against Judgment Dragon. It helps prevent against Heavy Storm. Really strong card there. And so let me know what you guys thought about the deck in the comment section below. I think it does a lot of cool things. Of course, we have Chaos Endmaster doing powerful things and a bunch of supporting light monsters that just do really strong things. And it's a normal control deck that I think is a pretty sweet deck that I've been working on for a while. So let me know what you guys think. And without further ado, this is Dan V from SSG signing out.